kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot-wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm by the things we do, or the trouble that we get into. All in a while, every once in a while, we can't help it, it's just our style. No way. Good old boys, it's all we'll be.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show.
It's the circus today. It's the Wade and Carter circus.
is.
They have no idea. They have literally no idea.
If
no
we were
understanding.
Jurassic Park, we'd be a bunch of gorgeosauruses.
Right? Unbelievable. The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. I went down and saw Jackie Parsons yesterday. The store looks fantastic. If you haven't been down, it's down on Water Street, kind of across from the convent, the nunnery, which is a massive place.
It is.
Oh, it's massive. 76 degrees in Victoria with thunderstorms, heading to a high today of 84. Do you notice how I told you yesterday I saw no way for it to get to 90? And I just don't think it ever got much over about 80-something, low 80s, early 80s, like Madonna. The temperature was Madonna. It got nowhere near.
That was when Madonna was hot. So
she was, right?
That might be in the hundreds then. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to Madonna. She just trashed.
I think she was crazy from the get-go. That's what happened to her.
Yeah. She was like a virgin, but not a virgin.
No.
Right.
Just sang about one.
Right.
Greg Garcia, Will Vincent, Justin Glass on the podium this morning. Bobby Leister checking in. Wendy Hughes Garcia. Good morning. Scott Snow, Judge Posey, Lisa Poole, Tammy Keeling, Scott Tomko, Monty Howard. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're all here.
Monty was great while you were gone. He was practically a guest host.
Good.
Gave me some great comments, some great feedback. Or let's just put it this way. Monty Howard's the guy that agreed with me on a lot of what I said. I said stuff and Monty Howard agreed. So that helped a lot.
Matt Boucher.
We all do that, right? Cody, you do that. Like, you can be saying something and like there's 10 people in the room and like one guy's nodding and you're like, yeah, everybody agrees. Doesn't mean that.
No.
Huh?
Wait, Callie Farley says, I went to a Madonna concert in Las Vegas a few years ago. When she started lecturing the audience about abortion, I walked out. Yeah, these people, and it's okay. I think there's a place for you to say, I've got a platform, so I need to have a voice. And that's okay.
But 60s rock bands wouldn't exist if they didn't have that voice. If you think about it.
True, but it's interesting that people like Madonna, you didn't go to hear Madonna's view on abortion. You went to hear Madonna sing.
Yeah.
And you don't go see Bruce Springsteen to hear him say rude things about the president.
Here's some of the difference, I think, and I wasn't around then, so I couldn't really tell you, but they knew the majority of the country was against the Vietnam War.
Right.
Madonna doing that's alienating half of probably the music listeners in the world.
But here's the deal. You can sing Crosby, Stills, and Nash about Kent State. Great music is often tied to current events, and it can speak for a generation. But I don't recall Crosby, Stills, and Nash being on stage. They may have, maybe there wasn't the coverage, but screaming, Nixon sucks. I mean, I just don't remember that. as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember that occurring. But I think with Bruce Springsteen,
plus they were all high and probably couldn't have formed two sentences together other than their words.
If they weren't singing, they couldn't perform. Yeah. And they got a DeVita. Supposed to be in the Garden of Eden. They just couldn't get it out.
Couldn't get it out.
The LSD took over and they couldn't get it out.
Lisa Poole, Andrew Alvarez, Tammy Williams.
Lisa Poole, the 26th.
All right.
Not next Thursday, but the next Thursday.
Here we go.
We've talked to Junior. I talked to Joey Stockbauer there. And hello, Marina. I think she checked in 2 out of 3 days. That one day I wasn't very good.
But she didn't check in?
Yeah. No. I was great the day she was in. Just wasn't too good on the other day. I just didn't feel it.
She has an effect on people.
No, I'll tell
Marvin
you.
Mickers, good morning.
No, I don't know. And I'm going to put you on the spot here because you're very humble. Okay. Like you've done a lot of radio for a lot of years. But I found like Cody and I talked and I'm not fishing here, folks, because I don't ever feel like when it's me by myself, I don't feel like I do a good job on the show. I don't. Because if I don't have you here, if I don't make you laugh, I don't know that I make them laugh.
I feel the same way, to be honest.
We probably need to talk about your performance yesterday.
Okay, that's where I'm going. And feel free to. It can be a roast of Brent. We can have a whole segment.
No,
but
because nobody knows how hard this is to do by yourself.
But what's weird is to me is that I don't ever like to do anything I'm not good at. Mechanical stuff, like I don't learn because I don't just jump in there. Like Caden's 17 years old and he will take tools and just jump into something. And like you with the computer and stuff, you just jump in there and I get frustrated. Good morning, Mom.
I'm not afraid of the computer.
No, but I'll just jump in there, but with this, I found myself, it's like, okay, it's been a long time, certainly professionally, since I've felt like a challenge. Like I'm like, okay, I know I can do this. I can do it. And I guess I'm proud of myself because I did jump in there and do it. Because I could have called a guest host. I could have, somebody else to feed off of. I will give Ash a compliment. Shut up, Cody.
Somebody was already in the room just waiting to help.
I know. That's
Marina says she's checked in.
Man's got to know his limitations. I wanted if it's not you, it's not the same. The chemistry's not there.
No, I agree.
So
there's Buddy Stavanoa. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, checking in. Scott Tomko says the first step is admitting you have a problem.
Right. I do. And I have an insecurity issue here.
There's Junior Samples. No, the show's different when you're not here and I'm not. I can sense it when I do it by myself. It's a challenge.
Do you find yourself being more serious?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
My mother and my mom is a great source of feedback because as a lifelong educator, she's got no problem going, that was a C. You made a C. But Mom said, I noticed, I felt like you, being just me, were more prepared. I had more things to talk. You can see my notes there in the handy book.
I don't make notes like this.
And you can't read those.
No,
notes.
I can't.
You can't read
mine.
I couldn't read
either.
one of them either. Like that. I don't know what that says. I wrote that, but I don't know for something.
Fort Hood.
Fort Hood. That's what it says.
Did you get to that one?
I did.
Okay, good.
I talked about the fact that Fort Hood, Pickett, Rudder, that they're all named after Civil War generals. Yeah. And it was pointed out, I believe, it was pointed out by one of the guys, and they'll tell us here in a minute which one it was, that was part of Junior.
We know.
Junior, I'm always available to guest host. Junior, we have been absolutely told not to have you on. But here's the deal.
By Bill Posey, because he wants the exclusivity.
Yeah, Posey wants you exclusively. The idea was that the federal government, the winners, the Union, named those forts after Southern generals as part of reconciliation. Like, we're not here
to making enemies,
to demean your culture, you know? Yeah. I did. I wrote that it looks terrible.
Yep.
I can still print really well when I want to, but I don't.
Yeah, my handwriting's terrible.
My
handwriting's not
terrible.
bad, but my handwriting sucks.
It's like I wrote it in AI. That's kind of the way it looks.
Interesting. Heard today that a lot of colleges are going back to the blue books and pens and forcing students to write, essays and
right
on the spot in longhand.
I think that makes sense, right? Because it's too easy to Google, Grok, to
Chat GPT.
AI. You just do things. Do you ever use it?
Yeah, and I do actually. An interesting session at our convention was about how AI can help what you're doing. Dr. Brent says absolutely.
Thank you, brother.
If only I was making the money of a doctor to match my handwriting, I'd be set.
Right. I write in Latin.
Pig Latin. X-nay to the end. But
Posey recognizes that. By the way, while we're patting each other on the back,
Junior that long to come up with that. He's off his game today.
Problem. It's only an hour show. By the time Junior catches up, we're already in Houston. I do want to give a credit where credit is due. We have been extremely blessed by our affiliation with Cody Bauman. I highly recommend that if you have any need, tell you what, if you don't know what you need as pertains to your Facebook presence or a website or just anything that involves this computer thing, call Brand Us. Let him help you.
Because I'll be honest, this morning, if Cody wouldn't have been hovering, I would not have fixed the problem.
No, that's but also
because you need that sometimes. Somebody's just standing there.
When you're not here and he's here, then that's the audience that I need. He'll look at me and just go like this, like, no, that's not funny. Just stop. He'll go, stop, just stop. And that helps me a lot.
He doesn't do that when you're not here.
Right. No, y'all are great.
Never had to do that when he's gone.
He always has 2 cups of my coffee.
Greg Garcia says it's way too easy and tempting to turn in work that is not your own. Is he talking about Joe Biden? Because we haven't mentioned Joe Biden in weeks.
Well, here's the problem, though, and still in an in-class essay, you've still got to cite your sources, right? But
if you write it in class and I say, tell me what you think about, I'm going to get you. I'm not going to get AI. Yeah. Academic rigor. Isn't that redundant?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of the same.
Right.
But here's the problem that I've seen is that high school has not prepared students today to write papers and properly cite their sources.
True story.
And
high school hasn't done that either. We used to have to write.
So I said high school hasn't done that. They have to learn that in colleges.
No. We haven't written. I think we wrote like one research paper. Yeah. That's we have to do a research paper.
And so then you get to college and you actually have to cite a source. And you get dinged because you're plagiarizing because you've used somebody else's work and tried to pass it off as your own inadvertently. Right. And that's what AI is doing. But interesting session was how to use AI to help you and enhance what you're doing so that everything you write doesn't sound the same.
True. How many people, like you say, AI would be a good example of AI usage that would be positive is that let's say that you overuse the word great. We had a great season. The kids played great. All their grades were great. Then if you plug that into AI, it may come back. We had a tremendous season. The kids all played great. Their grades were exemplary. Yeah. That type of thing, AI can clean up for you. Think of it as taking your words and just running it through a thesaurus, and all of a sudden it just cleans up sentence structure, finds a way to get rid of that semicolon and make 2 separate statements. I mean, it's just it's a tool.
I mean, it's interesting because you and I in college probably paid somebody in our dorm room or a friend who was a good writer.
Yeah, there were times I was that guy
to proofread the paper.
Yeah.
Right. And they say, hey, this, you're starting every sentence with this word.
Yeah. I. in an essay about teamwork.
Yeah.
I.
Well, there is no I in team, but there is an M and an E.
Right. And
Spells
there's
me.
2 I's in championship and an I in ring.
But it was interesting. It was a really good session on that, and how and how
JP's working on Mo Bandy's song. I said the other day, we just need a rap song, and it's going to turn into our version, the Wade and Carter version of Good Old Boys.
All right,
it's going to be interesting to see. No, what he told me, and JP is another computer guru, and I found it interesting that he said, "Here's the deal: it's how far down this rabbit hole do you want to go? Do you want me to do original lyrics? Do you want me to take these lyrics? Do you want me to take this song and meld in like a rap verse?" I mean, AI kept asking him all these questions. What do you want me to do?
Well, the problem that is presented in this panel that kids are doing is they're throwing their 5 points they have to get out in a paper.
Right.
And then, letting Chat GPT run with it. Right.
Brilliant.
Whereas how it should be used is write your paper, throw it in Chat GPT to clean it up for you. But then does that really, it makes it better, but are you saving time? Is AI saving you time if you have to write the full paper? And that's a selling point of AI. We'll save you time. You can be more productive. Well, if I've still got to write the whole thing and then throw it in there to clean it up, am I really being that much more productive?
And that may be okay at work where you're only interested in the result, but it's not okay in academia where you're interested in the process and you're interested in, what I learned after I got out of college was that all college really taught me was tenacity and how to learn. It's not what I learned in college. How many times have you had people tell you, especially your kids, Kendall, my oldest, really bright, really, but ground. She was a grinder when it came to schoolwork, and she fought it. She fought it until about the middle of her sophomore year. She said, "You know what I figured out? All I had to do is figure out what this guy wanted me to tell him, and then give it to him, and then I made an A." And I'm like, see, that's what college was all about. What you think is he's only focusing on a small portion of the material. What he's now thinking is this kid gets it. This kid's listening with intent. This kid's now listening to figure out what I want to hear. And there was a time that I would go to Kendall's apartment and she would have these flashcards all over the apartment. You go in the bathroom, there'd be like 8 flashcards on the back. And then you go in the kitchen, they were like taped to the.
She had custom printed flashcard toilet paper.
In her mind, the harder she worked, the better student she was going to be. And I was like, what is all this garbage? Oh, those are my notes transcribed onto, 3x5s. And I'm like, just stop. Read the notes. What is he trying to tell you?
I came across an interesting thought yesterday, and I don't know why this entered my brain. This is how my brain works sometimes at 9:30 at night. But I got to thinking, kids. Remember when the old adage, you used to joke about it? Children should be seen and not heard.
Yeah,
right.
Still like that. It ties directly into sit down, shut up, and learn.
Well, something. And I think there's that, and that's kind of where I was going a little bit. I think there's something to that because kids today are so eager, and social media is part of this. They need to be not only seen, they need to be heard. They don't know how to actively listen. And I have to wonder if that's part of the problem with learning, behavior. I mean, you can get into the dopamine and all that of social media. We can talk.
Sure.
I'm not going to, but I do believe.
You kind of just did.
Yeah, my thought yesterday was that when the expectation of children was to be seen and not heard, they were more, and they may not even realize it, but they learn more.
Right.
They absorbed it because they weren't sitting there waiting to get their words in and I gotta talk. And you were never allowed in the adult room.
No,
Very rarely.
You're exactly right. I can remember going places with my parents and being told, okay, remember, be seen and not heard. Speak when you're spoken to.
Or this is the adult room.
I didn't, for you to leave. And there's still, and I don't know why it still bugs me. A restaurant, I don't have anybody in mind. There's nobody in immediate mind, but family. And the kids get up and run around. And I mean, I can remember, I've had Rylan since he was 3. I can remember telling Ryan, sit down, stay in your seat. You need to go to the restroom, I'll take you. You need to go twice. The second time, I'm going to bust your fanny.
That's why we had the kids' table at family gatherings. It was usually in another room.
Can you read that riddle up above from John coming from Carolina? He says, a man leaves home and makes 3 left turns. Okay.
I thought this was from Junior, the way it's.
When he returns home, 2 masked men are waiting for him. Who are the 2 masked men?
I don't have enough brain power this morning.
I don't need. Well, I'm just trying to think. It's an obvious thing. See, we're just missing it. All right, John, you can tell us because we don't know. There's Torton Bales. Good morning. Saw the Honorable House District 30 State Representative AJ Louderback checking in. I know for a fact that AJ last evening was at the fundraising arm of Warriors Weekend out at the Generals game. I hope that went well.
Andrew Alvarez says, I feel like AI nowadays is like calculators when he was in school. They weren't allowed, but they're pretty much required now.
Yeah.
Kind of getting there. Yeah.
No, yeah, they are.
And that was some of the point.
Along with 47 boxes of Kleenex, 200 number 2 pencils.
Yeah.
The list
for everybody to
it's
eat.
Amazing. What I have found is that the pricing is very similar between Walmart and HEB, but you can get through finance quicker at HEB.
Yeah.
When you go in, it's 48 easy payments to get your kids' school supplies. I say this all the time because when you pay the bills and you end up poor people, I always say, I don't know how poor people do it because I want to learn how to do it the way they do it. Because I guarantee you there's kids. I mean, I don't mean that like put me in, poverty. I'm saying there's kids that show up at school. Oh, there you go. The 2 masked men are the umpire and the catcher. Well done, John Anderson. Well done. There are kids that don't show up at VISD with the requisite amount of garbage that we use to stock the school. I'm surprised you don't have to bring 200 rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And the idea of athletes like getting complete uniforms, that's over. That's over. How about that? Was that the congressional softball game?
Yeah, looks like it.
Or is it a baseball game? They play it, I
softball.
believe, at National Stadium, and I think they get like 20,000 people.
Well, they play there because they probably funded it. Probably in the contract.
Tell you what, let's take a break. Tell people what's going on. You start anywhere and I'll pick it up.
Well, Veracruz post-Caldo Wednesday. Hope it was a good one for everybody. It always is.
I went by yesterday
last week.
And busy. Lee had just finished with some fajita meat and it was just beautiful.
I've seen their catering truck on the road more and more these days.
Well, they encourage that if you have a smaller or large group, it's nothing 300-400. You can reach out to Veracruz for all your catering needs. They do. They bring it all. That's the deal.
And the guac is the best.
They have the best guac.
Allen's Wrecker Service.
578-6300.
Roads are wet. I noticed coming in. Well, I mean, I've only been gone 3 days, basically.
Seemed like forever.
It did. But the rain, the water in the ditches along 59, and we're going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, I guess. Flash flood warning out in the North Crest Brattle Ridge.
We left that out there for you.
Something close to my house.
But please drive safely today. The roads are going to be slick. Hydroplaning is going to happen. Somebody's going to end up in a ditch. And unfortunately, if it's you, call Allen's Wrecker Service.
Yep. 578-6300. No matter what kind of flooring you need, tile, laminate, hardwood, carpet, indoor, outdoor, no matter what you need. Get by the dollar floor store and let them help you out.
I saw Erica Briggs yesterday, Parvita Wellness. Get healthy. Her meal plans are going great. She's still got room for more people. If you want to help yourself eat healthier,
Vita
Eric is there
Cafe.
for you. And you can always go to the Vita Cafe if you want to try something different.
Absolutely. And then USA Concrete Coatings, 578 Home. Let Charlie Garcia come out and help you with all your concrete. Okay, the last riddle of the day. What do you call a monkey with no bananas? A monkey. There you have it. Still a monkey.
Still a monkey.
And there's a dovetail there into what's going on in LA.
I'm going to read this analogy that I heard yesterday. Just let me go. So I went to a Costco without a membership, snuck in around the card readers, didn't want to wait in line to get an actual membership or a one-day pass. They caught me in the store and asked me to leave or go to the service desk and get a membership. Instead of leaving, I demanded free products and food, and then waved a Sam's Club flag in the middle of the store to show them just how much I love Costco and want to stay. When they still asked me to leave, I began stealing whatever I could and threw frozen hamburger patties at security. They should have just let me shop there without a membership. I'm special.
Right. That sums up our illegal alien population. It is mind-boggling that, did you know that and I listened to it, read, Article 1, Section 3. I mean, they did the whole deal if I would have been taking notes, detailing for you that if you try to pull this garbage in Mexico, it's a felony. And like the minimum sentence I heard was 2 years in prison. If you don't get shot. Right. Not to mention the fact that you like your chances at a sympathetic jury, gringo in Mexico.
I saw some idiot, looked like a white dude, yelling at the Marines in LA yesterday as they were rolling in, go home, go home.
They wish they could be home. If it wasn't for idiots like him, they could.
But they are Marines, so they are home technically. This is the land that they vowed to protect.
Yeah. People are getting bogged down in the idea of, did Donald Trump overstep his bounds by sending in the military? Let me give you a scenario. Donald Trump, I made the comment yesterday, it's possible that he learned something from what happened in D.C. And it's possible that his team was telling him, hey, Donald, we cannot have another January 6th on your watch. It just can't happen, bro.
Except this is actually somewhat violent.
Right. So he sends in the National Guard without request. And California, Gavin Newsom, who has wasted hundreds of hours of his day arguing with folks on Twitter. It's unbelievable. I'm so proud that our governor, Greg Abbott, would never stoop to that level to get into petty cat fights with crazy people. Nice.
I don't have a way to show this, but some idiot threw something at the cops in LA. And they tried to pepper spray him or something, and then some
rubber
idiot,
bullets.
Maybe, and then some idiot just comes in and just tackles.
That was a
him.
great tackle.
It was really nice. But I'm going to play this a little bit too, because this is just, you sent me this, and I give you credit.
Listen to this from ABC News,
and it's from TikTok, so don't worry about the TikTok music at the end. Some sharp viewer, a Xer named Monica, posted this. She was very sharp and picked up on this.
It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
There you go. They're just a good group of folks just getting together to watch cars burn.
So at first I thought, okay, maybe there's some context missing here, but then I listened to it again and caught the between law enforcement and demonstrators.
Yeah,
we're
just demonstrating. It's peaceful. We're burning up police cars. We're burning up other people's cars. They're not burning their own car. They walked around the corner, got in their car, and drove home. Protesting is burning down your house, not burning down your neighbor's house. But Donald, if he sends them in, then here's what the left says. He hates California. He's embarrassing California. He hates Gavin Newsom. He knows that Gavin Newsom can beat J.D. Vance in 28. He hates California. That's why he's establishing martial law in California. But if he doesn't send them in, And even Karen Bass the other day had to say, if you don't have business in downtown LA, don't go. And she said, there's graffiti everywhere. It's a mess. Don't go. So he doesn't send in the National Guard. And what does the left say? He hates California. He's not even trying to help. He could have sent the National Guard. It's just like January 6th. It doesn't matter what the president does. The left, being exposed by leftists, is going to blame the president. And it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. Can you believe some artist in LA, and there are certainly some talented folks out there, had painted the mural, you've seen it, of Kobe Bryant and his daughter on the side of a building, and some bonehead defaced it. They used spray paint and put it all over. Now, here's an iconic member of the LA community
who was revered by the LA, by everybody in LA for
unbelievable waste.
Died in a tragedy.
Yeah, and these people go in there and you know, it's like I've told you, if you go into the Louvre and you throw, you know, acid on Michelangelo, I mean, I think you just ought to be shot. It's like instant capital punishment.
Well, Kash Patel investigating the money behind the riots. And it's funny because the first thing I thought of when I've seen some of these videos, a lot of the protesters, they've got gas masks.
And they're all wearing, I've seen videos of them being handed gas masks right out of the box. Yeah. And they're all wearing black with white face masks. I mean, did they get together and have like a neighborhood block party? Everybody wear your black.
Well, according to Kash Patel, one group they've found backing the unrest is the Party for Socialism and Liberation. It's a communist political party linked to China and tycoon Neville Roy Singham, who is pro-Chinese government.
This is what China does. They come in behind the scenes. They sneak a little virus into your community. They buy up your farmland. I'm at the point where I'm about ready to just drop the hammer on China.
I think. Well, hang on. Let me get to that, because at the same time, we've now got a trade deal reached by China and the U.S.
Yeah, people were like, oh, that's a great deal. We're giving them 10% tariffs and they're giving us 55. Well, guess what? We were at 100% with China. They were tariffing us 100%.
Our tariffs will rise to 55%.
Yeah.
And China will, this is the Cliff Notes version, China will supply some rare earth minerals.
And that's what all this stuff is about. We talked about it yesterday. That's what Ukraine and Russia is about. There's stuff going on. They're trying to find ways to make batteries more sustainable. And it all involves these minerals, these elements that you can't pronounce.
Yeah. I'm really liking Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. I'm really liking him. And he says if China would just course correct by upholding its end of the initial trade agreement that we outlined in Geneva, then the rebalancing of the world's two largest economies is possible by challenging the decades-old status quo.
Right. The decades-old status quo is where they just abuse us in the marketplace. As Trump said long ago, we've been in a trade war with China. We're just losing. He's starting a trade war.
China accounts for about 60% of the global supply of rare earth minerals, and they process about 90% of it. And you know where they're getting a lot of it? I mean, China's got lots of resources. It's a huge country. But this is why they went into Africa and did deals with the despots that run those countries.
They went into Africa for slave labor.
Exactly. Interestingly enough, we did that when we went into the Middle East for oil, and everybody hates us.
Yeah.
But the world loves China for doing the exact same thing in Africa, except worse.
100%. Andrew Alvarez says the protesters have pre-printed signs. There's no way it wasn't planned.
No, absolutely.
It was planned.
They just all showed up with the local fast signs with the same sign design and said, hey, could you print me one of these, please? I need one for the protests.
Hey, another news this morning while you were dealing with by the way, good job on the computer glitch. While you were dealing with that, I was watching global news broadcasts, BBC and others. 242 people. I don't know if they're all dead, but 242 people went down just after takeoff on a India Air flight that was bound for London. 59 London nationals on that flight.
Well, I wonder how many people on the ground died because this thing landed in a
landed
city.
in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. They made it sound like it took off and never really gained any altitude. The part of the plane that I saw did not look like it had exploded, but there was debris everywhere. A neighborhood, you just see the tail of the plane sticking out of a building. And then also it appears that Israel, who has a lot, America can be very upset with Iran about their military grade, their enriching of uranium. We can be upset and say, no, no, no. But the Jews have a vested interest because, number one, they're right there. And number two, if Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would no doubt attempt to use it against Israel.
Well, the other thing is Iran has been funding Hamas. Iran has been funding Hezbollah. Iran has been funding others that have been other terrorist groups that have been attacking Israel. So
Israel is on the verge.
Yeah, the New York Times reporting this
destroying Iran. So, and the concern for the U.S. is this: because the U.S. is so vocal and so openly supportive of Israel, if Israel launches an attack on Iran, people are afraid that Iran may turn around and attack some U.S. bases in Iraq,
because that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Like you attacked us, but you only attacked us because they gave you the weapons, so we're going to attack them. And when that happens, I think Trump will be forced to do something very violent.
And you know what? Then he'll have gone against his campaign promise to not get us into any new wars.
He did it. Israel did. And at the end of the day, it's a perfect time to just eliminate Iran. They're certainly at their weakest that I can recall.
And this isn't similar to Hamas in Gaza, where the folks in Gaza, 90% of them, according to the polls that we've shared, support Hamas. Iranians do not support their government.
They don't. They are held.
And they haven't been brainwashed yet. And they have protests. There's been some great ones that have been not covered by anybody, but unfortunately, Frances Martel, who does a great job for Breitbart, go read her stuff on the things that she covers internationally. She's brilliant and not afraid to cover it.
Saw a deal the other day, and it said if you took basically everything west of Texas and then you took everything, say, north of Oklahoma, they divided the country into 4 segments. And they talked about if there was a civil war. So picture Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, down the Carolinas, down through Florida. Well, if there was a civil war, which of these areas would win? And I was like, are you kidding me? The capital of the new country would be Texas, and that war would be over very quickly.
Yeah,
very, very quickly. P. Strauss, yes, sir. Good to see you yesterday at HEB. And Ash at Veracruz. The one thing I'll say about Patrick Strauss and I, we bump into each other often at HEB, and it's never on the depends aisle. So that's a good thing, right?
Yet.
It's like I'm not on that end. I'm still on the produce end with P. Strauss as opposed to the pharmaceutical end.
Kathleen Leininger says Mayor Bass is trying to get Obama's help to get UN forces into LA. Why the heck do UN forces? No, the U.S. needs to get out of the UN. I've been saying this for years. Bye-bye, UN.
Listen to what that says, though. And I trust Kathleen Leininger as a source. She heard that Mayor Bass is trying to get Obama's help to get UN forces. Now, this is people from another country in LA.
LA is another country.
To counter Trump's military presence. Look, at least it's an American military force in an American state. You're not going to ever see UN forces on the ground in the United States of America, not unless you are in the middle of us whipping their ass, because that ain't going to happen. Yeah, I usually P. Strauss. So we don't necessarily buy alcohol. We just hang out because it's so cool.
Well, you just stand there and drink it.
It's just so cool.
I'm
if I ever
looking,
completely lose it, that's what I'll do. I'll walk in with a corkscrew and just fire open a bottle of red and just sit down over there. Sit down on the edge of the beer cooler.
And we'll know that the show is done.
That'll be the last show. Maybe I'll live stream it.
Mayor Bass says of the looters and rioters, they're not doing it on behalf of immigrants.
No, they're
kidding.
They're doing it for opportunistic purposes. And, they say, oh, there's nothing going on. It's Maxine Waters who they, oh, it's peaceful. Tell that to the Adidas store and the Apple store. And, and as I understand it, then I'm the sheriff is in, maybe he'll make a comment. As I understand it, you're not allowed to use deadly force to protect your store. I think I would be.
I don't know. Remember the Koreans did in the Rodney King?
Well, yeah.
Remember the Korean store owners had guns and they were firing at the potential protesters. I don't know if they killed anybody. My memories. I mean, that's 30 years ago already. Jeez.
Dim sum dead protesters.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
I did see what you did there.
I wonder if. I know that there's things you can do to protect. Like if I walked up on a situation and someone was just, beating you, I know that I can use force to protect you. I would let them beat you within 1 inch of your life. But I would say finally I had to do something.
Had to step in,
right?
Stop them.
But yeah,
here, we talked about. I don't know if we talked about.
There you go.
You can in Texas. Yeah, I knew this, but LA, different world. Different
LA,
country.
you're not allowed to use it to protect anything. I don't think.
Probably can't even use any force to protect your property out there. Who knows? But
over here, here's where the money is.
Saw a couple of people on videos. I didn't share them, but after that one that I played earlier about the way the media referred to the demonstrators as
just watching fires
onlookers. Yeah. A couple other videos quickly popped up, and it was other people at the protest tackling protesters after they had thrown stuff at the police, trying to help the police. I appreciate that.
In Georgia, you can use deadly force if someone looks at you funny. You appreciate that, but
but why are you there? Because you know what's going to happen? These folks are going to, these well-intentioned non-protesters are going to get swept up in the mass arrests.
Right.
I don't know. Just don't go. You have no business being there. Let the protesters hang themselves, giving themselves enough rope to hang themselves.
Protesting ever work? Is it ever really anything more than an ulterior motive? When people protest, are they really just trying to bring attention to themselves?
I think it did bring about social change at one point. Now it's just about being able to walk into a Target and walk out with a 65-inch TV,
right,
or Champs and your favorite team jersey and a pair of brand new tennis shoes.
Right.
That's it. That's all it's about these days. It's not about actually standing up. Nobody's chaining themselves to trees anymore.
I think I would have a difficult time restraining myself if I saw it happen here. What is the difference, except that somebody would be dead? What's the difference between me taking the weapon that I always have and saying, stop, put the TV down, get in your car and leave now, and being willing to use it? What's the difference in that and me walking up and just sucker punching the guy who's carrying the TV while the Target guy's going, wait, you can't have that. And you just walk up and just sucker punch him. What's the difference? Except that he's alive.
Deadly force.
Okay. So it's okay with you if I just beat the snot out of him for stealing it?
Well, then Target might hold you on the hook for the broken TV.
And they might, right. That's exactly, no good deed goes unpunished. But fortunately in Texas, cooler heads prevail. Yesterday, the governor sent Texas National Guard troops into San Antonio, preempting any lunacy that might occur. And
because there's apparently these protests are starting to spread.
There's a cell that's being funded by the left.
They're the kindling to these things. The kindling has started the fire in LA. So now they're going to move the kindling to another city to start that fire. This is the This is the less version of the brush fires and the wildfires in California, except they want them to spread into other cities. It's going to happen. And wait, in
nothing happened in San Antonio, by the way.
No,
there were some protests, but there was a group of people.
Why do you think that is? You think it's because some person who believes in securing our borders might be standing there with a gun, and if you threaten them, they're not gonna put up with it.
They prided themselves on being peaceful. They said there were some verbal assaults at law enforcement, but no physical. Like, you want to yell at a cop, fine. In fact, maybe Wade and Carter should host that, where we could just expose the stupidity. We'll get H.R. Mallory to come to town in full trooper outfit. And here's the deal I'll make you. We'll put him on one of those things where you pow and he drops. And here's what I'll tell you. There ain't a leftist in this community that could hit the target. They've never been outside. They've never played with a ball. They could never do it.
Oh, no, they've been outside. They've stood on Navarro.
I'm telling you, we'll put them back 45 feet and let them try to dunk HR. And he's a good enough sport. He would sit there as long as we gave him soda pop and hot dogs. And if you want to yell at him, you can yell at him. You can yell at him all you want. If that makes you feel better, if you are affecting change in this subpar nation, driven by the oligarchs and the criminality of Donald Trump. If that makes you feel better,
country in the world.
It's the worst place. It's the worst. And we laughed about it. Nobody loves Mexico more than the people that aren't willing to live there. Did you see
who probably never even were born there? Some of these folks that are waving the Mexican flags in the middle of these protests in LA, their ancestors might have been born there. Oh. Maybe they're worried because their ancestors got here illegally and they're worried about their birthright citizenship being taken from them. I don't know, but I have a feeling.
Now, I don't want to renounce anybody's birthright citizenship, but I want to end birthright citizenship today.
Here's why this isn't illegals protesting ICE. The illegals have scattered.
Yeah.
They don't want to get caught. They're gone. Either some of them went south and jumped back over the border at Tijuana, or they went into Arizona, or they fled north and towards Oregon. They got the heck out of there. These are idiots.
Yeah, I agree.
And unfortunately, they're probably citizens of this country.
We need to get HR to come to town. I feel like yelling at him just a little bit. Just cuz. I want to show you my insurance card.
I'm going to be curious to see where Kash Patel's money investigation into who's funding these riots ends up. Let's take our final break. We got a few more things to get to this morning.
While we're doing that, I want you to be thinking about, do you put any credence in the idea that Donald Trump is somehow going to be exposed if the Epstein list is revealed? Very curious what your thoughts are on that.
No.
Palace Bingo, folks, the 26th. That's it. That's the end of that segment. Palace Bingo, the 26th.
It was a yes or no question. You got to ask better questions than that.
You were looking for like a 10-minute
And how does that make you feel? Palace Bingo, the 26th, Lisa Pool night. Be there for Lisa Pool night at Palace Bingo. The chopping block, let me tell you, he's got Mexican boudin. That's basically like barbacoa boudin, and still great ground chuck, all the steaks, all the stuffed chicken and different wrapped vegetables. You want jalapeno poppers that are like immense and wrapped in beautiful smoked bacon. Get by. Yesterday was Wacky Wing Wednesday. I was remiss, but guess what? They're only $1 more a pound now. Get by and get the chopping block.
The ribeye sale is still going on, and they've got small Wagyu briskets, perfect for this weekend and for Father's Day. So
they're
if you don't
only $800.
They're not.
The Wagyu brisket, I bet it's expensive. But
I'm going to tell you, they got Terrace Major Steaks.
Fantastic. I highly recommend it.
They've got pork burn ends for $6.99 a pound. Oh, those are, and they're
great,
pre-seasoned. Yeah, get on
great.
them. There's your briskets. Let me see if I can zoom in and see how much those are, but I can't.
Yeah.
John's holding the briskets in the post, but they look really good. Anyway,
John's doing an awesome job.
Yeah, he is.
They work hard at the chopping block.
$14 ribeyes.
There you go. White Trash Services, White Trash Site Services. Get them to come out and help you clean out a garage, clean out a storage unit, clean up an old barn that you want off your property. They can grade the land.
I'll take it all down.
They do a great job. White Trash Services, 550-1826. Chestnut Furniture, Chestnut and Love, make your house a home. I was by the other day, that beautiful, best American-made furniture, leather, all different types of high-tech materials.
Well, the thing that's great about them, they've adjusted. Best has now made these things big enough so your Roomba or your automatic vacuum can get under them. Remember, that was always the problem. You could lay your vacuum down, but it would always hit the bottom of the couch, right?
Right. Now you can get that'd be my goal, is to kind of embrace the Jetsons furniture where it's just high enough that my robot can go underneath there. Yeah. Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com. There's a brand new Z06 Corvette over there. You can outrun the Popo. Go get you this black on black, like hard top convertible. You could be at a stoplight, put it in park, push the button, 15 seconds later, the top's down. Then you could drive 160 miles an hour to the next stoplight and put the top back up. It's definitely a look at me vehicle.
I still think we need that for the Wade and Carter show.
I would put a big logo on the side, kind of skew it to the side where it looked like a race car. Went Services, Went Electrical, Went for all your generator needs. Generac, an American-made product right here in Wisconsin. Generac gives you peace of mind when the power goes out. Your power stays on. While you get ready for that, I'm going to tell you the Astros update brought to you by the First State Bank of Louise. Last night, our man Christian Walker had a night. He goes 3 for 4. He has a single, a double, and
raised
a home
his average
run.
to 214.
That's okay because he also is like third on the team in home runs and he's third on the team in RBIs, and he's a timely hitter, and he is still a 3-time Gold Glover at first.
Yeah.
What a great pickup. What a great deal we got. This team is very slowly starting to pay homage to Dana Brown. The general manager caught some flack, I think, some of it from us. Like, why would I can see letting Bregman go. I can see letting Tucker go, but you can't let them both go. And we did that a little bit.
Both are on the injured list.
They're both on the injured list, and the Cubs won't sign Tucker at the end of the year. He's going to go make $500 million out in LA, and he still won't get a hit in the playoffs. And I'm telling you that Christian Walker has been a dream teammate. Isaac Paredes has made me completely forget Alex Bregman's whiny butt at third base.
You know what's interesting with the Astros?
Who is also hurt all the time.
What's interesting with the Astros is everybody goes out. They got to be out of depth. They bring Melton up. He's playing great defense. Has made some nice catches. His bat needs to get going, and they need a left-handed bat in the lineup.
Yes,
since Jordan is hurt. But I mean, and they've had some injuries. I mean, McCormick's out.
That's not so bad.
Yeah, but he was off to a good start again.
But let me throw these names at you: Christian Javier, Garcia, France. Who else? And another.
Gusto pitched well last night in the Astros.
Yes,
won.
he did. And it's his first time he's gone 6. But last night Christian Walker has 4 RBIs, a 2-run double, and a 2-run homer.
What was the final yesterday?
Last time it was
8-2. The last I think I saw.
8-2. That's what it was. Then.
Okay.
Astros just really, really. By the way, my early horse for manager of the year, Joe Espada. Let me tell you, the Astros are 37-30. They got their largest lead anybody's had in the AL West this year, and they're just slowly pulling away from teams while at about 50%.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got 2 starting pitchers that are out. Ronel Blanco, Javier, France is a reliever. I mean, these guys are battling.
Great pitching, timely defense. They're being aggressive on the base paths.
Getty's out.
Yeah. And here's the beauty of it. The Athletic called the Astros out the other day for not getting it done the first time through the order, and especially in the first inning where, your top 3 Pena and Altuve typically in there have not been able to hit anybody the first time through. They lit up the White Sox yesterday.
And I'll tell you something else. I heard on the broadcast,
was it 3-0 after the first?
That there's several different. Altuve had a double, and so did Pena, I think. There are several different models for WAR, wins above replacement. It's a trendy stat now. It's kind of like, don't believe your eyes, believe this number.
Yet your eyes validate the numbers.
Yeah, and Jeremy Pena on one of those formulas is second, a distant second, but second only behind Aaron Judge in WAR in all of baseball. Jeremy Pena playing great. Cam Smith stepping up. He's only like 23 years old, stepping up as a rookie. He's learning how to play right field in the major leagues and is excelling. He's doing a great job.
Yep. Hockey half minute. Stanley Cup Finals resume tonight. No word on who's going to be the starting goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers tonight because Skinner did not play well. And when it's all said and done, Florida will win the 2 home games and be up 3-1.
Name any active hockey player in the NHL and the team he plays for. Quit looking at your computer. Any hockey player, just pick one, just one of the probably 600 professional hockey players.
There's a Russian guy on the Stars. I know that.
There you go. And that is the American public, sadly. I mean, myself included. You know why? Because I can't. You can throw that right back to me, and I can't tell you one. I can't.
Spurberloff.
Yes. Igorowski Skavonovich. Yes, he's a forward.
See, exactly.
Yeah. Nobody knows those people. What we need is less discrimination. We need more black people in hockey. That's what we need. Homie, don't skate. We need more black people in hockey. It's because of the government, man. They don't get enough inner city opportunities. There's no ice.
They just put basketball hoops there next to the Planned Parenthood.
Come on, man. Flood that basketball court in the winter.
Oh, nice use of the term flood. That's
you're
learning.
Skate.
You're learning
to skate. Teach a kid to skate, and he'll skate forever.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Till he falls through.
Take him to a hockey game, he'll become a drunk, but teach him to skate and he'll skate forever.
He'll be a drunk forever.
Right? Craziness.
If everybody had an oil across the USA, then everybody be served like California.
That's Mike Love singing with the Beach Boys, the brainchild of Brian Wilson.
Him and his brother Dennis, brother Carl, cousin Mike, friend Al. They formed the Beach Boys back in the 60s. Earlier than that, I think
created the California sound,
the surf sound for sure.
Jan and Dean followed suit.
There were a whole bunch that tried to do the same thing.
Ashton Brent.
This is probably my favorite Beach Boys song.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were older and we didn't have to wait so long?
What? Their harmonies were so dark.
They were great. That was Brian Wilson singing there. Yeah. And Brian Wilson dead at 82.
Paul McCartney called this the greatest pop song ever written. And, you know, say what you want about Paul McCartney. The guy could write pop songs.
Yeah. I got a McCartney quote in a minute.
I liked them better as they got older. I mean, the surf songs were cool and it gave you a glimpse into the California culture. But once they got into other songs,
I didn't understand. And for me, on a lot of the stuff that the Beatles did, I could just take it like at face value. I thought there were times that they played with their public, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Oh, no, it's not about drugs. That was their play to keep themselves extremely relevant. People forget the relatively short time that the Beatles really even existed, but they acknowledge they all liked Elvis a lot and they all respected the Beach Boys. And they said that Wilson, McCartney, I've heard him interviewed and just say Brian Wilson was like a true musical genius in the way he put sounds together and things. But I do remember one time that Paul McCartney said, we have been blessed by the fact that Americans expect so little out of their music. He said, I could sit around and write a dozen pop songs a day, and half of them would be hits. And that I think that Paul McCartney underestimated his value. I think that he could have written 15 a day and 10 would be hits.
This coming from a guy who, basically the Beatles were a rock blues cover band when they started, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So
if John Lennon hadn't been such a nut, I've always equated John Lennon with Glenn Fry and Paul McCartney with Don Henley.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, now that we know that Brian Wilson actually had mental health issues, and he wasn't just a drug head.
Yes, he had lots of issues.
And that's too bad. But I mean, when he was lucid and pure musical genius, the guy could write. I mean, I can't write a song, but I can appreciate those that can. And boy, he just put things together that nobody put together until the Beach Boys came along.
No doubt.
Dead at 82, suffered through the death of his younger brother, Dennis, who drowned, drummer for the band.
Yep.
But
today's rock and roll trivia brought to you by Wade and Carter. Folks, we love you guys. It's the top of the hour. It's great to have Ash back. Guess what? He won't be here tomorrow.
Or Monday. But then I'll be back Tuesday.
Oh, I'll do the best I can. I'm going to hope tomorrow we get some calls. Be thinking of something you'd like to call.
Phone it in Friday.
You can ask me anything.
Anything. Maybe Cody can start it off with a question that's not pre-scripted.
I will answer it.
And we'll go from there.
I may say no comment.
This could be a phone it in Friday followed by mail it in Monday.
I like it. We'll talk to you folks tomorrow. Hope you have a great day.
I won't. Bye, folks.
Thank goodness for our sponsors. There they are. Bye, folks.
Messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't.